Good point to talk about this credit score thing.
Yeah.
I heard some Gen Zs in my office talk about how their parents also encourage them to take loans because of the need to improve one's credit score.
That's yes and right. You don't need to take a loan necessarily. If you're using a credit card and you're paying back on time, that's enough to build a good credit score. You don't need to take a loan to build a credit score.
Why does one need a good credit score?
Because one day eventually you will need a loan. Because you will want to buy a house, you will want to buy a car, and even if you can buy the house and car outright, you will still want to take a loan because the interest rates are very low on home loans. And if you have a better credit score, the interest rates are even lower. It could be 8%.
Can you plan your entire life without the need to take a loan?
For 99% of people, no. And you shouldn't also. That's another misconception. People look at loan as a bad thing. There are something known as good loans as well, right? Like, for example, let's look at the richest people in this country, Mukesh Ambani and Gautam Adani. You really think they're debt free? They borrow thousands of crores of rupees. The kind of things that they're building, the green energy infrastructure, that cannot be done. They don't want to use their own money, right? Why would they use their own money? Their own money is invested in the right places, probably in the stock market or whatever, where it's growing. They will borrow money from the banks at 6-7% interest rate and do this work. Similarly, as an individual, let's say you have 1 crore and I tell you to buy a 1 crore house. Most people would do it. They will give up with their entire 1 crore to buy the house because they're like, oh, no home loan interest rate for 20 years. I don't have to pay EMI for 20 years, so I'll buy that house outright. But that's a blunder. Because if you take the home loan interest rate, it's 8%. With the tax benefits, it comes down to 6%. Your 1 crore can be invested in the markets. Let's say you're even able to get 10%. So you're making 10% growth and you're paying 6% to the home loan bank. You're getting a 4% profit. Now, every year this won't happen. But over a 20-year period, absolutely yes. So that's the right way to look at it.
Wise financial decision.
All loans are not bad. Then FD-backed loan. You have an FD, take a loan against it, you get a very low interest rate.
How do you differentiate between a good loan and a bad loan?
Any interest rate less than 8%. Once it goes to the double digits, then better use your own money.
Simple. Nice. Okay.
Education loan is also one of those examples. Because the government wants to keep education loan interest rates low. On top of it, the entire interest is tax exempt. So even if I get an 8% interest rate on education loan, it actually ends up being like 5.5%. So don't pay education out upfront, even if you have the money. A lot of parents make this mistake.
Okay. Back to Bijli MBA. The original question I had planned was that for the 2030s and the 2040s, what are some decisions I can take now? And the more bubblegum question is, could you give me a 2026 oriented piece of financial advice?
Sure. I think the world is going to be very different once we hit 2030. I will probably assume the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario being your job is obsolete. Meaning whatever you're doing right now is not needed in the world 10 years from now. Assuming that, you need to build another skill set. And you need to ask, in the world of AI, will this new thing that I'm learning be disrupted? So first, I would say, start the journey towards that. Because if your source of income is not going to be around, and obviously if you feel like it could happen, it is definitely going to happen. Right? If you have that fear, it is definitely going to happen. Right? That's the reason you have the fear, because you've seen things which you never thought was possible. Second is, build a cushion for yourself that in case you don't have a job for 2 or 3 years, in that transitioner period, you have a certain amount of corpus to take care of your lifestyle. Right? So do not live a hand-to-mouth existence for the next 5-6 years. If you're living a hand-to-mouth existence, you could end up on the streets in the next 5 to 6 years. Because let's say we are in the year 2030, you have 1 lakh saved in your bank and you're laid off. And let's say your parents are also dependent on you financially. What's going to happen? That is a reality for a large number of people. So I'm going to assume that as the worst case scenario and say, boss, for the next 5-6 years, build an emergency corpus so that if you're losing a job for 1 or 2 years, you have a cushion. Start the upskilling thing right now so that you don't lose a job for a very long period of time. And the best case scenario, you never lose a job because you've perfectly transitioned to the new world. Secondly, I would say if you already have a sizable corpus, invest in inevitable things that's going to happen. Firstly, I would say majority of the money still keep in safe assets. Don't invest, AI, I'll put all my money in AI. Or green energy, electric vehicles, I'll put all my money in electric vehicles. History has shown us that whenever there is a new order of the world that's happening, the people who were the front runners in the beginning did not end up being the front runners later. They eventually die out as well. Now, I'm not saying Tesla and Nvidia is going to die out. They're like too big to fail. But don't put all your money there because it's going to be a very volatile journey going there. Similarly, with the IT boom that happened in the early 2000s, there was a similarly volatile journey before Amazon became what it is today. But I would say, nevertheless, put at least 20% of your money in these inevitable sectors because this is where the maximum growth is going to happen. So this is my plan for the 2030s and the 2040s.